We're going to talk about the newspapers this morning. Music producer, songwriter Pete Waterman is here. Big football fan as well, aren't you?
Absolutely. Well, Walsall, not sure you call that football. But
OK. But you approve, I mean, things have changed, haven't you? So much for the better.
Yeah, and I think, we've seen the police go to away games from Walsall. The police, they know that, who's going to cause the trouble. And when you're travelling away, actually, you look forward to the police because, you can always get into a bit of trouble and they know how to keep you out of it.
They're going to look after you. A quick look at the front pages. Daily Mail, they're still talking about Andrew Mitchell. What exactly was said, nobody knows, apart from the people who are involved, of course. The Daily Telegraph, they've got an interview there with J.K. Rowling about her new book and also talking about Nick Clegg and the Liberal Democrat conference. Apparently agree to the mansion tax or we block cuts. That's according to what they're saying. Nick Clegg is saying to the Tories.
And on the front page of The Sun, of course, they were the first with the Andrew Mitchell story. On your bike is the headline. They have more calls, they say, for the minister to quit. Pete, where are you going to start us? Now, this is a story that emerged, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, about the sales of one record company to another. Explain. What EMI?
Right, well, this is very simple. This is an easy guide. This is Britain going down the tubes personified. This is the greatest British record company that ends up having to be sold because it's gone down the route where it didn't invest in itself. I mean, when the Beatles, 1960s, EMI ruled the world, right? It was an easy between the old guard and the rock and roll guard, if you want to call it that. And therefore, by late 60s, early 70s, EMI was in turmoil. There's no question about it. I mean, I was there, part of that. And at that point, the old guard would not let the new guard come in, and you got Queen, and the guy who found Queen was sacked for smoking dope. But this was the 70s, and that was EMI's problem. They could not modernise. Then they, of course, by the 80s, in the late 80s, they started to bring the accountants in. Then they got took over by basically an investment company. Well, what this has proved is if you do not invest in talent, then you have not got a record company.
But they still had some big names on their books, did they not?
Not enough for the size of the company, and that's the problem. I mean, what is interesting about this decision, and this is a bad day for the British record industry, when this small island ruled the world musically and creativity, this is bad news. Because what this doesn't say is, what this really hits is the independents. The independent small record companies that were the creative blood, and it is interesting to see that some of the companies they've got to sell are those very same independent companies that EMI bought in the 70s and 80s. Okay. And that's bad news, actually.
Well, speaking of the old days, who are these characters?
I thought this was a great story. This is Led Zeppelin. These were they were such a big band. I mean, I've worked with them lots of times. I actually worked with Robert Plant when he was called Robert Plant and his Band of Joy. I think I had the, let's say, the pleasure or well, I put him off stage more times than he ever finished a set.
You did right.
I used to have to, wield my DJ thing on because because he was so different. They were so outrageous that in the time of Tamla Motown, Robert Plant and his Band of Joy were just out there.
When audiences were...
The promoter used to say, get them off and get on and play some Tamla Motown.
Well, he did all right in the end.
He did, but it's interesting, isn't it, when you see rock gods like this now and they go home for a cup of cocoa, it brings it all in perspective. I mean, we're all there now, aren't we?
Well, look, Robbie Williams is there. He's a new dad. I just want to show that. There he is with his little brand new baby. Theodora Rose, you work with him a lot as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean,
it's Robbie growing up, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I liked his tattoos,
Which you say have special meanings?
Well, he's into all these aliens, and some of the tattoos there are messages to aliens.
Can we get close in on this? Because you were drawing attention particularly to this one on his on his wrist there, isn't it?
Yeah, and the one on the left there. These are all signs for aliens that when the aliens finally arrive on Earth, they'll know they've got friends.
You see, I should have asked him about that, shouldn't I?
You should.
I should not have asked about Take That, but
no, I bet you would put it in anyway.
Have you got any of those?